It's an embarrassing matter. It was the policy case for SML. Interesting, was built on my work.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the fact of
Your
it.
work at
At the Seaboard.
Okay, at Seaboard.
I was responsible for I was publishing. I mean, the Seaboard was publishing the petroleum industry reports, and I was the chief editor, and I led the analysis for evaluating the tax leakages, because there's a lot of illegality happening within the petroleum sector. One had to do with quality breaches, also the other had to do with revenue breaches. We distorted market pricing and all that. So we had a need to look into it. And consistently, we're reporting on an annual basis a huge negative delta. The first report, I think, came in 2017 against 2016's performance. And we had to make presentations to EMT a number of times. It was very easy to solve, in our opinion. I think that DMB, Dr. Baumia, and I commend him very much for it. And it's quite one of my disappointments with Ken Ofori-Atta. I think that if your government at the time had worked well with the vice president and you had given him a proper place, a lot of these things wouldn't have happened. If DMB would be honest, he told me straight in my face that he was embarrassed by this arrangement. And we discussed it.
He did not like what was happening.
Of course. Bamia did not. He didn't sign up to this. This is a pure Ken Ofori-Atta matter. Ken Akori and the SML guy, Evans, what's his name? Eduse. Frankly, interesting enough, his name never shows up. You people should stop chasing, what's that man's name? The former Soti. You should stop. Soti is a worker. He doesn't own SML. He's a worker. He's a staff. He's an old man worker.
What about...
The real face you should go and look for is Evans Eduse.
Who is he?
He is the owner.
So this
but
was
he's a private person.
And so I'm just, but when the people keep talking about SML,
but a director has to be held responsible.
I'm telling you that Soti is a worker. It's a worker in the front. So it's not any. You abuse Soti unfairly. This scheme. Let me finish my matter. People don't understand what has happened, and I apologize to my brother Manasseh. He wanted a lot of information from me when he was doing his work. I was constrained cooperating with him because at the time I was leaving the chamber, I think, and we were setting up to give GRA a service to solve that problem. You know, so if I went ahead to speak about it, it would have been a bit of some sour grapes or something, which, and you know, when we were doing our solutions, we didn't have anything to do. We didn't even think of SML at all. Another interesting fact. I was part of the team that edited Ken Ofori-Atta's speech going to launch SML.
Really?
Yes.
You are complicit.
I'm not complicit. I will explain. I mean, I have to put out the facts there so you contextualize my place in this conversation.
You are declaring your interest.
This is what happens. I published this report and I said Ghana is losing so much money. And it's not too difficult to find. As a petroleum sector, we have a data repository that sits at the NPA. All right? This data repository can be used as a basis for validating actual transactions because the NPA pays monies against this thing to other service providers. So if NPA is able to pay against 10, you should be able to know what GRA2 should get. Because NPA cannot be paying people a bill against 10 and GRA is collecting revenue against 6 or 7. So it is a very simple thing to calculate. Everybody here, if I teach you, you will know how to do it. Then there's another part that gets a little technical, where the volumes that come into the country are not fully accounted for. Yeah. So that one also becomes a leakage outside what we call official, losses on accounted sales, and then we also have losses on unaccounted sales. I was responsible for that report. Ken Ofori-Atta, when we had it done, set up, DMB directed together with Ken then, the first time I published this report. I was brought to EMT I made my presentations. Then they set up a committee made up of Akori, Amishadai, and myself for us to go and deal with the matter. So I told them all we have to do is to set an audit with EY. I mean, they opted to use EY, and I recommended EY as well. I would recommend EY any day because they had done the FX loss audit for the BDCs. And Shetekpe will tell you, when we came first to do the BDCs were claiming the FX losses, I was the one heading the chamber. I told him that the claims here shouldn't be negotiated. It must be audited. The fact that I'm the chamber head doesn't mean that what my people have brought me are necessarily right or not right. I don't know. I can agree in principle, but the numbers here, I don't know. So everything must be subjected to audit. And I like the work that EY did. And it cuts down a lot of the claims that my own members had put. I needed to live with whatever it is, because whatever mandate I have to my people is always subject to the interest of the state at all times. And that's something we must all remember. So I work for the chamber, but subject to what is in the superior interest of the state. The government wanted to negotiate with me. I said, no, audit. So in the same case, in this instance, I advise that the first thing to do is to audit. If I am sitting at the chamber using secondary data, published by the GRA, published by the Ministry of Finance, published by the MPA, and I can establish easily that you are losing so much money, why can't you yourself even do that yourself on a daily basis? And I'm doing it retrospectively and doing it on an annual basis. It takes me a long time for me to collect data.
Okay.
So I beg you need to understand the SML problem.
I'm getting you, but
no,
you see,
I
want us.
You wait.
But I want no. So I have to guide.
You guide me. Let me learn so you understand the gap.
Yeah, you are taking time to learn. So I want to.
Okay.
You learned.
See, that committee was set up. EY was appointed. Guess what happens? EY establishes that even though Senyo had estimated about 4 or 3 billion in the losses, the real losses were like 5 billion. Red flags. We now need to know who and who is responsible for that loss. Guess what happens? We go to GRA. We need minute data. We need some detailed information. All of a sudden, the data gets missing in GRA in the name of transitioning from GCNet to ICOMS. I'm telling you how corrupt the institution is. You understand? That whole thing stalled. We go to Ken Oforiatta, and I tell Ken that this thing is still happening. And when we're meeting at his conference room in there, this thing is still happening. And I think that you can plug it very easily. The work I do on an annual basis, the state can just commission a few officers to be doing it, and you always see who has stolen the money, and you plug the gap. It's not hard. He gave me some theory. He explained to me, this was in 2020, and I think that they did SML launch in June, right? So because of my reports, they sent me his speech for me to review, and I said yes, we needed to trace everything. I thought they were just going to do metering. I didn't know how much money they were going to charge. I didn't even understand how much it will cost. Today I can tell you how much that metering costs. The money they pay SML in 2 months will pay for the whole infrastructure. If GRA wants to own it, there's nothing special that has happened. All right. I tell him that we should have this done. Ken's first comment is that, Senyo, you know,
he doesn't speak like that.
You don't know what happened. You were not there. Don't bring yourself.
Okay,
Senyo, since Buzia got ousted, the country has not been the same till Nanado came back. And we are going to elections. You know, sometimes we talk much cooler. Sometimes I'll confuse his own with Nanado. Yeah, and Wuntumi has been calling him. This person has been calling him that this work we are doing is creating trouble. So, what do I think we should do? Because this can disrupt the elections in 2020. Then, before this, he has quoted Bible. He has quoted Bible and he was wearing white.
Senyo.
No, my brother, I'm coming. I brought the matter to you.
Breach of secrecy.
Oh, this is not secrecy. This was a meeting day. The EY was even seated there.
Okay.
And I told him that, Ken, Mr. Minister, we need the detailed data now. So at least we know who and who we can put numbers clearly to everybody who has stolen the money. Do your elections. 7th January, Nanado is not running again. We'll go and collect the money for you. But seeing the next thing we hear, SML is being paid this 24 million. Just like that. For what? They say metering. And I didn't understand why metering. If you want to solve the problem, first of all, you did not know the problem. I was the one who knew the problem. I brought the problem to the fore. Have you sat down with me to discuss with me who understands the problem, how to solve it? You saw this thing as a gig. Soti and Eduse and go. After Eduse, he lost the ICOMS transaction. He lost it to Nick, to Ghana Lake. So I think there was a way they were trying to compensate him or what. I don't know. Then you give this guy this transaction. Now look at what SML is doing. SML just bought meters, ultrasonic meters. I don't want to say I swear here. Look, the total cost of that infrastructure, that was even suboptimal because it was not even a mass meter. It was just volumetric. The whole cost of that infrastructure is less than $3 million. Install it, put another $1 million. It is strapping. I don't know, like you take this, you
put a rope around it.
That is all it is.
Like they do to your bag at the
airport. That is all it is. And then you have a monitoring system. As in, it's just a TV. Whatever is happening on that thing will show. So every flow that goes through, you see. The truth of the matter that GRA did not even know what to use that data for. And I'll tell you why I got to look and understand the SML thing better after this 2020 meeting. I've edited things. I like the idea of monitoring the molecules, which I didn't have a problem with. I didn't know what the commercial arrangements were. I even thought that they were going to use it to deepen the analysis that I was already doing. But I didn't see anything. Subsequent to SML, the losses were still coming. Then I did my next paper for 2020. Well, SML has started in 2020 already, right? When Baumia saw the publication, he summoned me. I was in Turkey with my wife. I had to cut short my trip. And I come for, practically that was the first or second EMT. So I walked him through the thing, then through the thing again. Then he commissioned myself. Then I was in partnership with my question and co. And said, look, we can solve this problem for you. One, I don't know why government itself did not decide to solve it. So I had to now say, okay, then maybe I should take a business out of this and just do this work. Because it's not hard. It's not hard. Why should I, an individual, sit down with just 2 boys in my office? We can break this thing on an annual basis, and you who are paying people, cannot get people to sit down and break it on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a fortnight basis. Okay. All right? This is what happens.
Senyo.
Listen. The data we went to SML to gather, when the SML heard that the DMB had directed that we be engaged, Mr. Adai should contract us to do this work for them. We're even going to deploy technology to do the analysis automatically. So we won't even need any boys to sit down and do all this thing. Then all of a sudden, Ivan Seduse and Co appear. It started with, what's his name? Ken Oforiatta. He was sick by the time, so he wasn't at that EMT. DMB had directed that this thing be done so that we cure this problem immediately. Ken Oforiatta sends a message to my partner that what is it that you and Senyo want to do? No. The next minute, Mr. Adai's hands are clapped. Romeo has directed something, Ken Oforiatta has cancelled it without even consulting the EMT. Now, Mr. Adai is there and he's stranded. Now he has to do an analysis. That is when the whole data came. You remember that your guy at IT, he was the one commissioned to analyze the situation. There was no comparative analysis being done. The data was not being used for anything. It was then that they started seeing what we wanted to do, that they said, okay, the 1 + 1 is equal to 2, and check and see whether you have 2 or not. They will also start doing it. And you don't need any system for it. They never used that system for that analysis. They never brought that data to make meaning of even the data that was existent. And you were paying the people 24 million. Fast forward, as for our contract, they didn't, because of Ken Oforiatta, and Mr. Adai told me straight in my face.
It won't happen.
That, Charlie, you guys know the thing, this is what has to be done. Maybe we can copy something from your people and see if we can use it, because Ken doesn't want anybody do anything that SML says it wants to also do. He's a pastor, he can't lie to me. This is the matter. I know where I was sitting when he told me. You understand?
Senyo, I need to move
the people there themselves. I'm saying this because of what he's saying, talking about what Ami Sadai knows that contract was unholy. Ami Sadai knows that contract was technically moot. Akori knows that contract was technically moot. What's his name? Soti. He also knows. These people walk around, they are all church elders. He said, this country here, we are wicked people. This was absolute loot.
They knew.
They all knew. The current, what's the name, GRA boss, wasn't it the one audited the thing? Didn't he come and sit down with me for us to look at the thing? We all knew. The only value that you got from SML eventually was just this arithmetic thing that I was saying you should do. And that started after they saw us trying to come into it, to come and just do that basic work. And you don't need any SML to do it. All you needed to do was very simple. You put in an auditing firm to validate because of integrity issues. One, you collect all the data from all the key data points. You put in an IT audit system to make sure that the data points that you are depending on are reliable. You put these people in, and it is a simple thing. Everybody in this room can calculate and show whether you are losing money or not losing money.
Senyo,
but because Senyo has said that you are losing 4 billion, it means that it is easy to make a case to start paying people 500 million cedis a year. You can explain that, but we are losing 5 billion. So if you are paying somebody 500 million, for what work done, the value of that work will be what? If you appoint an EY or a KPMG to do that work on a monthly basis, how much are you going to pay them? Maybe maximum of $200,000, $300,000 or $400,000. I mean, how much are you going to pay them?
So, is there a way we could have done the contract for it to have been more beneficial, or we needn't sign this at all?
This contract did not have to be signed. There were two things here. If GRA was honest, and people had their hearts for this country, and people keep your eye, you will see more of these things trying to come. This SML thing, there were people in this NDC who were fighting for it to stay.
Can you name names?
I won't name anybody.
Let me name
yourself.
Let me go.
Look, all that they needed, this thing, they know they didn't need a thing. If GRA wanted to own that infrastructure, it is just off the table. Go to MSC, go to Honeywell, ask the order, strap your main pipes. It will not cost. And what I'm even giving you is actually the most expensive. One of the most expensive metering, ultrasonic metering systems I'm giving, with a higher accuracy of 0.005. Listen, that one alone is going to be $3 million. I say if you put in another 1 million, let's say you're a businessman, put in 50% margin, maximum $6 million. How much were we paying these people? So the money we paid SML, if we paid in 3 months, GRA could have owned that infrastructure.
Okay.
But even to date, I'm telling you, GRA even doesn't know how to use the data that comes from the SML.
And that's the point that I was going to bring Azure in, because Azure...
for the first time, I've spoken about the matter.